It's a grizzly.
Should we get out of here?
No, we're gonna watch and listen.
Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome, T.O. Rio, Gary Spikes, Blazer. How you doing there? Hello, Val. How's everybody doing tonight on a Friday evening? How you doing there, Chris?
Great. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. Hello there, Denise. Is everybody starting to slide in? So what you been up to?
Oh, working UFO cases and doing some psychic cases for people and just a little bit of everything, nonstop.
Interesting. Well, hello there, Nicole. Welcome. I haven't seen you in a while. Hopefully everything's doing well. Hello there, G. So before we get started, I think I need me a drink. So ladies and gentlemen, hello there, the Jewel, the Phoenix. Welcome to the show. Round of applause. So today I went out and got the cameras. And I just now started watching the footage. And ladies and gentlemen, I tell you, it is an emotional roller coaster. I told Chris I had to put some of the footage on the 75-inch because I thought I actually had something at first between the orbs and the shadows. Whoa. Yeah, it actually had me going. And I ain't going to tell you about the story about going to get the cameras, but Chris saw some of the footage, and evidently I put the cameras in a good spot.
Yes, you did.
We got a lot of deer activity, a lot of bucks, 6-pointers, 3 points, 7 points. But hello there, Walthus. Good evening. Round of applause for you, kind sir. But anyway, so you know what I'll be doing all night tonight, looking at footage and video and pictures. So what are we going to do tonight, Chris?
We're going to talk about ETs and how I channel the extraterrestrials.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So how do you do that?
I do it through a series of psychic work using remote viewing and just the fact that I'm able to have a communication with them. Between the ETs and spirit guides, I'm able to get quite a bit of information pretty much whenever I need it.
That's interesting. So how long have you been doing this?
I've been able to communicate since I was a child, but it wasn't until I was much older when I had a better grasp and understanding of it.
Interesting. Now, I know a lot of people say that they are able to do that, and we actually had some on the show, and it's very interesting. Really is. And you actually are working on UFO cases too, aren't you?
Yeah, I work with MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network. I'm a certified field investigator, and I work as an abduction counselor for people who've had a contact experience.
Interesting. Well, take us on your journey, kind sir.
All right, so I actually did some right before the show here a little bit ago, I sat down and spoke with the ETs to answer some questions for everybody here, because I'm sure they have questions they want answers to, things they want to know. But this whole journey started for me back when I was a child. I began having psychic experiences as well as ET experiences. Of course, ET experiences I didn't have an understanding for, and neither did I have understanding for the psychic experiences. But as I grew older, I began to realize the ETs were helping me develop my psychic abilities and my ability to heal and help other people in many ways. So the older I got, the more I began to understand all of that. At first, I was a little disappointed because I was trying to have a career after I got out of high school. All I could do was help other people.
Right.
And having to be in the right place at the right time. But at the same time, I was having visitation at night. And finally, one day, I was able to kind of put two and two together. That it seems like every time I have visitation, I get stronger and more knowledgeable, and I'm able to help more people in different ways. So finally, one day, I made a plea or deal with him. I said, if you let me have a career and do all the things I want to do in life, I'll help other people and keep that job first ahead of everything else. And within just a matter of months, I was getting phone calls from the Travel Channel, different organizations wanting me to do paranormal shows and UFO things, and everything just kind of came like a snowball effect. It just started rolling. Once I made that promise, the doors opened up.
Yeah, and I hear that a lot with people that has this ability to communicate, and it's very interesting because we also hear that the ETs do come back and help mankind and progress that with also not only help them with knowledge, but medically as well as to heal them. Is that true on your behalf?
Oh yeah, they do. They come back. They'll heal and help those that need it. A lot of times you don't know for a fact that they're going to come, but you do know that you get a sense, like a feeling, and then like a warmth kind of. At least to me it does. And then they take you, and then they do the healing, whatever needs to be done to you, and then they bring you back afterwards.
Interesting. Now, Gene Hudson is asking you, I have a question for Chris. Can he tell if other people has had any interactions with ETs? Maybe if their minds are suppressed, the encounters or memories?
Oh yes, I can look at somebody and I can kind of ask my ETs, has this person ever had contact or been visited? And then usually I'll get a response. Or sometimes I can just look at a person and I just get like knowledge. It just clicks in my head. I just know.
Interesting. Yes. Okay. So have you actually found people that maybe has not been forthcoming and honest, and they're like, I have, and they actually haven't?
Oh yes, I've had people that I've spoke to over the phone, and when I'm doing my counseling job, and they would tell me their stories, and there's always little things they say in their stories that I know. Okay, that's not part of the process of how it works. They're making it up. But in a lot of cases, I can let them talk, and then when they get done, I can go back and ask a few questions to see if I can trip them. If they're telling the truth, then the story is going to be consistent throughout the whole evening. But
Right.
if they're changing things, and a lot of times I can tell when they go, well, it was yay big, and it was such and such. No.
Right. Yeah. So there are key words and phrases that you look for as well, like I do.
Plus,
Absolutely.
a lot of it is the descriptions they give. There are certain things that witnesses have told me that a normal person would not have the knowledge of unless they've actually had an experience, and then that's the key words.
Yeah. Welcome, Cryptic Cowboy. Yeah. So another thing that I look for too, right, is that a lot of people will use what they see off TV, but what they
Right?
see off TV and what the actual encounters are not the same.
No, not at
And a
all.
lot of people don't know that. See?
Right. There are certain, like I say, certain key words that I look for, and I know as soon as I hear those words, okay, they've had an encounter, because nobody else would give a description to that exact T as to what we see and work with.
Yeah. So Denise is like, well, what do some of these creatures look like?
Well, oddly enough, they look exactly identical to us. In fact, even their eyes and ears and everything is just like us in a lot of cases. Like a lot of people see the ETs with the big black eyes. Those are actually like sunglasses that they use to block our sunlight because our sunlight bothers them. That's why their eyes look black. Otherwise, they're just like us. And some ETs may have a different skin tone, like grays or Well, we even had some that look more, I want to say, like a greenish, like the praying mantis. But in most cases, I mean, a lot of them look just like us, except for the praying mantises do look a little bit more like, I'll always refer to those as grasshoppers, but some people call them praying mantises. In fact,
Interesting.
the
Val
praying
is
mantis,
asking you, how many different types have you had contact with?
I personally have had contact with only 2 races, but there are, as far as I know, 64 in existence up there.
Okay, so I wasn't far off. I think I was told 56 or 57. So
And those are just the ones we know. There could be even more. I mean, space is unlimited, so who knows what's all out there.
yeah, and Jean Hudson's agreeing with you. She said she's heard many people say a lot of people don't remember, and then something will trigger that memory, and then they turn around and have breakdowns. What do you think?
Yeah, in most cases, the ETs will, if they want you to remember, they will let you remember. But a lot of times they'll keep it blocked until you're older and more knowledgeable. And when they feel you're ready, they'll bring all the knowledge back, either that or they'll show themselves again and remind you. Because once you get if you haven't seen them in years, maybe you don't remember. When you do finally get that next visitation, maybe you're older and they come around again, everything just kind of comes right back to you.
Now, how can, for an average person, because I hear this a lot, how can you tell if it's a dream, a recalled dream over and over, or an actual encounter? How can you differentiate between the two? Or can you?
Oh yeah, if it's an actual encounter, there's going to be certain things that you're going to get feelings. You're going to have certain vibrations that are going to be shifted, and for the most part, you're going to feel like you're more alive, more awake. Because if you're actually having an encounter, your whole body seems more like it's. I don't want to say like an energy drink, but you just feel more kind of like a jolt. You feel more like, okay, I'm here. But if it's a dream, you're going to feel more loose. You're not going to have that strong sensation. Because an actual visitation has a very intense sensation that you know you're there.
Okay. And Nicole's asking, because we see this a lot in some of the videos where they think they're hiding up in the sky in clouds, but sometimes they're not. But how do the clouds play into extraterrestrial activity, or do they?
Yeah, the clouds, they do sometimes that they'll kind of shut their lights off and kind of hide behind the clouds, and then they either wait for the right moment to come down, because when they do show themselves, they usually, if you watch, you'll see it like they just pop out of nowhere, where they're actually coming from behind the clouds, because they can shut their lights off, and then when they're ready, come out of there and reveal themselves.
Interesting, yeah. Val says she's never seen a UFO. I think you probably have, just didn't know what it was, and just probably pull it off as a satellite or an airplane. I know growing up, there's a lot of things I couldn't explain, but now it's kind of hard to differentiate if it's man-made or satellite or whatnot. And
Yeah,
Denise is go ahead. I'm sorry.
I work with a lot of witnesses that have had cases, things that happened in the past, and they said now that they saw UFO documentaries and shows, they're like, I remember seeing something like that. I didn't know what it was then, but yeah, it was a UFO.
Denise is saying, I've always wondered if sleep paralysis was ever connected to ETs.
It can be. Sometimes ETs will kind of put you in that paralysis state in order to take you up to their craft, or sometimes they'll put, like if you have a significant other next to you, they'll put them in a paralysis state while they abduct you or take you, and then when they bring you back, they'll release her hold.
Yes, I've actually heard that before with some people. Sleep paralysis. If people's never experienced that before, it's kind of terrifying.
I've had it. Yeah,
It really is.
you can move your eyes, and that's about the only thing you can move. Everything else is just like a paralyzed.
Let's see here. Chris, I wonder if he could ask ETs if humans are ever landed on the moon. We did a show about that the other night.
Yes, yes, we have landed on the moon. It is true. We have not done it as many times as they allude to, but we have been on the moon.
Yes, and I think I agree with that. Now another question. Yeah, Nicole, I do agree with the sleep paralysis is scary. I had that one time, and it literally freaked me out. Gene Hudson, Chris, do you have any health issues for being abducted, and how do you deal with your abductions?
I've never had any health issues from being abducted. The times I have been brought back, I've been more energized, more alert, and there again, more knowledgeable. It seems like I always come back with more knowledge than when I left. And how do I
Yeah.
handle it? How do I handle my abductions? The abductions are rather peaceful. When they come, I usually find myself in like a clear, like one of the recent ones I had. I was taken into a clear, like fluorescent, bright room. It was just a pure, like no furniture, nothing, just a pure, bright room. And there was a praying mantis in front of me. And the air was filled with love. You wouldn't think, I know it sounds weird, but the whole air was filled with love. And then we embraced. And then that next thing I know, I was back in my chair again. In fact, this exact chair to be exact.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'd say I couldn't handle that. I'd probably die. Cryptic Cowboy, do you have any implants, and what do you think about implants?
I do not that I'm aware of. I don't have any implants, although I've never had it checked out. I don't feel like there's anything in there. What was the other part of the question?
What do you think about implants?
Yes, I think the implants are used as kind of like a health tracking device. They'll put a little something in you. They can monitor your health and monitor your whereabouts while they're traveling the galaxies. And then when it's time, they will remove the implant when they feel you're healthy enough. You don't need their assistance anymore. In fact, they'll put people call these things abductions. We call them more like being taken for health reasons and stuff. So when they take somebody, it's to heal them and broaden their knowledge and increase their spirituality. So implants are only used as a health reason. When they feel you don't need it, they will take it out.
So, Gene Hudson, I'm sorry. Let's be realistic. Grizzly can't handle a lot of things. And yes, I would probably die. I've seen a praying mantis that big. Yeah, no. I mean, look what the guy did on the bicycle in the cemetery. That damn near gave me a heart attack, right? So, no, I'm good. Thank you. Chris is like, what? Yeah, that's a long story, Chris. Those are really good questions. A lot of these questions get asked with some of the other panels that we have on there. And Gene says, I'm sorry, I laughed as hard as you in the bot. Yeah. So anyway, that poor guy. But yeah. But I don't know. I have talked to people that, and I'll say this, and I'll go on the record. Years ago, I didn't believe in this stuff. But the more as I got older and dealt with people around the world, there is a phenomenon going on about people being abducted, yes, and being taken, and they are experiencing things. And I mean, now are there hoaxes? Yeah, yeah. Like Chris said, there are people not being honest because they want to be in the 15 minutes of fame. But Grizz, they want an answer to my question about women being abducted and getting pregnant. No, I must have missed that one.
Me too.
I missed that one, Chris. So, all right, Gene. For the audio listeners, and we'll go on the record, Gene Hudson says, Grizzly, I want an answer to my question about women being abducted and getting pregnant from it. I was serious. Maybe that was on another show. I don't think she asked tonight. So I think that was on another show. So does it happen, Chris?
I will say that there has been claims where women have assumed although they don't have proof, but they assumed and they feel like their children are from ETs, and they feel like they're also from ETs. So it's kind of like almost like what do you call it, like a family tree thing, where you were first, and then of course your kids, and then so on and so forth. But there's never been actually any cases or proven that a child was born or a woman was impregnated from an ET.
She says it's actually above. I don't see it, so I do apologize. So some of the things that I know, talking to experiencers, excuse me, not from, I don't think we had any on the show. I know they know people from who they spoke with in their groups that said that that they went to the doctor and they're like, did you have a miscarriage? You're like, huh? And then they were taken and the aliens, ETs, would show them a child, and they were like, "Am I dreaming?" And the child would be like a hybrid of an alien mixture and human mixture, and that's been very strange. And some of these cases have gone for medical diagnosis, and yes, there's some kind of connection. And so, yeah, that's pretty interesting. What's your take on that, Chris?
Yeah, it is pretty interesting. I mean, from what I've been told from the ETs ourselves, is that we are all one, just a conscience, and then we go into a physical body when it's our turn or when it's our time. And I do know that they do take our consciousness when it's our time. They place us in bodies, and if you look, because some people have often said, that they feel like that they were once a starseed or once an alien themselves, or maybe that they are. And they have now, in fact, a few of the people I've actually interviewed have actually stated that they have memories of being on craft and being in that chamber, that holding chamber of the conscience. They have memories of that. And so, yeah, it is true that you could possibly be an actual ET and actually been your mother or whoever could have been impregnated from the ET if she had contact.
So now I actually have talked to one person that actually has been on the show, and he did announce on the show that he did wake up during, and it was a male, that he did wake up on the craft while they were, how would you say it? Extracting his
DNA.
Yeah, we'll say DNA.
That's what
and
they're telling
it was very painful, and it wasn't pleasant. So, and that was very interesting. I felt sorry for him. Cliff Jones comes in. Can you contact them, Chris, through Thought when you need them? The ETs, I think he's referring to.
Yes, I can. And I will say that sometimes when I do contact them for information, they don't come in. But a lot of times they've told me when we don't come to give you knowledge, it's because you already have it. You just need to focus more.
Cryptic Cowboy, do ETs stop or bend time and abduct people and return someone almost instantaneously? Or is there a loss of time, or how does that work?
When it comes to time, space has no time. Everything is just a now. So when you ask the ETs about future or present, they will always go back to the term now because everything is now. We as humans created time. And so when they abduct somebody, they can bring them back within a matter of moments. So they can take somebody and then within just a matter of seconds, they're brought back. For instance, I did a case once. We had a case where a gentleman and his friend, I won't give out names, they saw a spaceship fly over. This was at 9:30 at night. It flew over, and they watched it fly right by them. And it only took like just a matter of seconds, and it was gone. But in those few seconds, it was now 5:30 a.m.
Oh,
They
wow.
lost over almost 9 hours of time.
So we actually hear that a lot in people's encounters. They see it, and in a flash, it's hours by, or they're at another location and don't know how they got there and how they traveled. Or, yeah, so it's very interesting. Gene Hudson comes in. Denise, I watched a woman talk about this on a show once, and she was pretty believable, and the pain rolling off her was overwhelming. Yeah, and I've actually seen people being interviewed on that, Gene, as well, and they are very believable, and I think it does happen. And I don't think I know the G-Man knows, and I think our who knows too about it. But Nicole comes in, Chris, and she asks, are they us in the future?
They were us from way back when. They were actually here first. They were one of the first people one of the first beings that walked this earth, and then we were kind of like came off of that. And so they've been here since clear back. And if you read the Bible, there's talk about bright lights and things coming down. In fact, I actually looked at some artifacts today. We have a MUFON UFO magazine that comes out monthly, and there was an article in there about ancient coins and different things from way back in like BC and stuff. Some of the drawings, and the drawings, you can see spaceships in the drawings that people were carving and stuff. So they were way back.
Yes, that is correct. And there is biblical reference of certain things, I think, referring to things in the sky they couldn't explain, but they wrote off as angelic and so forth. And I think there's older paintings as well
Yep.
that's been documented too. So,
And
yeah,
a
they
lot of
brought up. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Chris.
and a lot of the people back then, when they would see these things, they thought it was an act of God or some kind of religious statement being placed.
For some reason, I think Brian's going to save me some extra sweet and low boxes when I come up. So that's funny. Y'all crack me up. I have to tell Chris about. I'll just tell Chris now, and let's see his response. So Brian Barber, you don't have a pleasure to know him yet, but you're going to. He has got Bigfoot feces. I can't even say it without laughing. Poo poo. In his freezer, excrement that belongs to Bigfoot, and it's in a sweet and low box.
Good thing and keep it fresh.
Brian's like, really, Chris? Really? Yes. Gene Hudson. Brian also described cold weather as colder than mother-in-law's heart. Ooh. Woo. You know, Gene, she can probably hear you. Anyways, but now, yes. Nicole, you didn't know that, Nicole? Oh, my God. They actually asking you some pretty good questions. So what's some of your memorable cases that you worked with MUFON?
Well, I've done several cases that are very memorable. In fact, I'm working on one now that I can't show the videos, but it's very up close. Cell phone capture of a UFO. She captured it just it was like from me here to the computer screen. I mean, it's a very clear photo, video and photos. And some of the cases I've done, we've done one case in particular where a gentleman was getting ready to take his dog out. Now, this gentleman was in his early 70s. He was going to take his dog out. It was about 6:30 at night, and just happened to be walking out at the same time this ship was flying over. And as soon as he opened the door, and he felt this heaviness, and then he was unconscious. When he woke up, he had a huge red bruise across his chest, just like a sunburned red.
Wow.
And over 3 to 4 hours had passed, and I called him to find out if I could be of any assistance, help him out. And he said, I don't care about the spaceship or anything so much. I want to know where this bruise came from, where this red mark came from. He said, that's what concerns me. And so I worked with him and got everything situated. But it just goes to show the right place at the right time, and he had contact.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. Val comes in. From your knowledge, Chris, and this is what everybody wants to know. Is there an actual connection with Sasquatch and ETs?
It kind of goes both ways with that answer. There is and there isn't, because Sasquatch actually have been around since the early days of ETs. And there's been references. I've actually read articles and reports where Sasquatch and ETs were both. There again, we're talking clear back in the caveman, dinosaur type days. There was actually Sasquatch then. In fact, there was even an article, if I could send it to you, if I could find it, about they think Sasquatch and dinosaurs are somewhat related, like they're kind of like a relation to each other.
Really? Yeah, I would really entertain that article because people say that, well, they think about Sasquatch. They've been here for eternity before man. Some people claim. Well, not claim, that they think. Now, Cryptic Cowboy comes in. What are your thoughts about ETs and orbs?
ETs and orbs. Yes, I do believe that ETs are, and I know for a fact they can be orbs, because they can actually morph into an orb shape and kind of hide out until you're ready to actually see their actual form. A lot of times ETs will change their physical appearance to try to hide their looks, that you don't get scared by what you see.
Yeah, welcome, Kyle Smith. And also, I noticed through my research and interviews that ETs will also sometimes use something that is comfortable for the humans to digest. Yeah, so like we have one person, she not fascinates, that's not the proper term. I'll take that back if she's watching. But she likes bunny rabbits, and they're comfortable to her, and they're not threatening. And when they showed up as bunny rabbits, and we're talking not like the size of your feet. We're talking like human size. 4 foot tall, 5 foot tall ones.
Right.
So yeah. So what's your thoughts on that, Chris?
Oh yes, they can come as bunny rabbits. I've heard them come as owls. They even come as some people even claim to see deers, giant owls for that matter. There was even one case where a gentleman woke up and he saw a gentleman on a bicycle making popcorn. Oddly enough, two things that he loved. He loved bicycles and he loved popcorn. So they came. They had a bicycle with a large popcorn basket on the front of it. In fact, there was one gentleman I worked with, and he saw what he referred to as a large jackrabbit.
And Roger Blair, do the ETs use animal DNA for experiments? Just wondering if ETs are the ones behind the cattle mutilations. What are your thoughts?
Yes, the ETs are behind the cattle mutilations. I did a case on that last year for Texas, and the reason the reason they were taking the cattle is because they store the food supplies on the backside of the moon. They got a storage facility there. That's where they keep all the food supplies. And they told me, the ETs told me, they were not taking all the cattle, just enough for their supplies. And they told me, they said, please share, because we are all one nation under God.
I've actually heard that before, and I didn't know if that was true or not. Brian Barber comes in. Are orbs someone or something doing remote viewing? What are your thoughts on that?
Surprisingly, at times I've done remote viewing, I have seen what looks like orbs up above me. So I do think there is a correlation between there. I'm not for sure on that. I know I've done some cases and I can see an orb flying around the room. So I don't know if that's where I get my information from at that time or what, but they are. I do believe there is a connection.
Interesting. Yeah, because I know a lot of people think that it's something or someone doing remote viewing, and that's a good thing to look at it. I don't know. Nicole, is there a certain environment that attracts them more than others?
Yes, they do love farmland because they can hide out in some of the farm areas. One thing, the reason they can hide out is because they can shapeshift. So they can make themselves smaller or larger and hide it, like I say, hide behind the clouds or hide even in trees and stuff. But and they are fascinated with farmland and anything with a lot of property. You won't see them come. You won't see them land too much near the cities. It's always in wide country areas.
That's interesting. And well, they're just firing away. What do you think about crop circles? Or do you think they're actual messages? We're talking the ones that are legit ones, not the ones that are made by
Right.
man.
Yeah, there are messages in crop circles. A lot of times they will land in crop circles. And oddly enough, what they're doing when they land in a crop circle is they're trying to put out an energy of peace and love. They've actually told me that when they land, they're putting out like a vibration that's supposed to be like a peacefulness. And really, when you think about the crop circles not being harmed. It's just the way they bend them when they land. The crop circles are actually still very healthy. You can tell the difference because if it's a man-made crop circle, it's not going to look anything like what the ETs would do. And there's actually a texture difference too.
Yeah, don't they implode?
Yep,
So, and I think the other ones, I think, have radiation, don't they? I think
they do. Yes.
so.
In fact, actually, when the ETs land in the crop circles, if you were to walk up to a crop circle within an hour after it happened, you will get a sense of like almost like an energy jolt when you touch the branches.
Interesting. Cryptic Cowboy comes in. Why do they only take tongues and private parts of a cow, you think?
Um, I couldn't really say for sure. I would almost say the reason they take tongues is because no, I can't really speculate. I don't have the answer.
Interesting. Cryptid, they use the enzymes, those parts. I heard that too, standing stones. So, yes, let's see here. I heard that too, that they rub it on their skin. I don't know if that's true or not. But
That's where the rumor, yeah.
yeah, so very interesting. I'm scrolling down here. Let's see here. Typical. I feel that it's from this. I really feel that from this podcast. Or Let's see, positive. Okay, Brian, they found liquid mercury in the pyramids. Are the pyramids a type of a power grid?
Yes, they are. The pyramids do contain power. In fact, I've actually heard where if you were to take like a light bulb and put it on the pyramids and stare at it for even just for 5 minutes, you will see a slight bit of a glow coming from the light bulb because of the energy levels.
I heard about the liquid mercury. I heard about that, and I think, and somebody can fact check me on this. I think all the pyramids are missing the tops of them.
Yep.
That I forgot what type of tops they were. Don't quote me. Somebody has to check that. But that also resonates and it's supposed to shoot up in the sky and whatever. But clear quartz. Is that what it was, Nicole? Was it clear quartz, Chris?
Yeah, clear quartz.
Okay. I couldn't remember. I knew it was something missing off of it. So probably combinations to have radiation levels. Yeah, that's true. But really good questions.
I love it.
So yes, quartz. Okay. I couldn't remember because I think way back when, I don't know if it got stolen or removed, or I don't remember what happened, but I knew the tops were gone. So yes. All right. Any more questions, ladies and gentlemen? So what other cases you've been working on? Go ahead, Chris.
I do have one question here from a friend of mine. She asked, were humans being seeded by extraterrestrials? That is true. In some cases, they did take our seeds, our DNA, to help us populate. That's the one thing they got through to me during one of our chats, was that they want us to populate, they want us to grow, and they want us to live longer lives. And they can live for millions of years, and some of the ETs can. They can live for quite a while compared to us. But they want us to stay healthy and keep us going. So that's why they heal and take us, because they want us to live long lives. Because they told me, this is the truth, they told me once that we on Earth are the only friends they have, basically.
Interesting. So yeah, Bigfoot does love quartz. Very interesting. So, and I think they're starting to realize that they can write information on quartz and store information, I think. So, interesting. Yeah, the jewel movements and watches, yes. I thought they used rubies and sapphires in watches. Or certain high-end watches. And see how some quartz, you're right, quartz movement. Yeah, you're right. So, sugar quartz. So, what other interesting facts, ETs, things? Gene Hudson comes in. What's the worst abduction story you ever heard of? And what's your best? That's a good one, Gene.
You know, one of the best cases that I've done was kind of a heartbreaking case, because the lady was having experiences from like almost 10 to 15 years before she contacted MUFON. But she was afraid to tell anybody because she was afraid of what they would say to her, and all the ridicule and shame she would have to go through. And she was just scared. She didn't know what was going on, because all she knew was she would see a light come into her room, and then next thing you know, she'd wake up hours later, and she could tell something had happened to her, and she had no memories in between. And she saw a UFO show on History Channel, one of those networks, and thought that maybe what she was seeing was ETs, because it kind of fit the pattern. So she called MUFON, and I got the case. I worked with her, and she was very upset because she was telling me her stories. And as she's beginning to tell me her stories, I was the first person she'd ever told all this to. As she was telling it, more memories started coming back to her, and then she realized, she was being abducted. And I worked with her for several times, and the hardest part was, I think it was our third or fourth phone call. She wanted to know if she was being punished just while all this was happening. And I told her, no, you're not being punished. That they're here to help you and help you grow and become stronger and more knowledgeable. I said, they're not here to harm you. And I worked with her and gave her some meditation techniques to help her be more calmer during the abductions, during the situations. And now she's able to able to communicate with him better. She's been able to tell her family about it, and they've accepted it. It's probably one of the best heartbreaking cases I've ever had.
That's interesting. And I know some people think they are going crazy or gone crazy or losing their mind. They become alcoholics or substance abusers, I should say, and go in severe depression. So that's something, yeah. Brian wants to know: do people with abilities get abducted more? And what's the RH negative connections or anything? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, a lot of people get abducted that don't have abilities, and then once they're abducted, they're brought back with the knowledge to help them grow into their abilities. And in some cases, it works the other way too. Some people who have abilities get abducted, but a lot of people that I've worked with have actually stated they did not have any psychic or any abilities until after they were abducted. Then they started being able to have more knowledge and able to do their psychic work in some cases.
Gene Hudson comes in. If they are taking people to help them, why are the people not given the choice to go or not to go?
What they do is, in some cases, if you do not want to get abducted, you can actually say, you don't have permission to take me, and a lot of times they will not. But in some cases, they take people. Not only they heal them, but because they feel they need to, because that person has a mission. Like for my mission, what that they were doing to me was to teach me and help me understand how to help other people heal and help and work with other people in a more higher way. And some people, even they don't know they're going to get taken. They didn't choose it, and but it does happen. And if you don't want to be taken, you can always say you do not have permission to take me. And if you tell them they do not have permission, they will not take you. But if you don't be surprised they don't take you, and they bring you back fuller and stronger. So it's really more of a learning technique, or more of a learning situation than anything.
Well, and I think too, from my understanding, there are also some bad ones out there that really don't give two craps.
There is, and from what I've been told from my ETs, that the bad ones do not associate with the good ones. They keep their distance. They don't fight. They just let them do their thing, and they do their thing. But not every race is bad. You can have, like, we know there's at least 65 races up there. Okay, now some people will say this race is bad or that race is bad. That's not true. Every race may have a few bad ETs in it. Just like humans, there are some bad humans and there are good humans. So not every race is bad. Some may be. I mean, there might be a few ETs here and there that are bad and they do terrible things, but not every race is completely bad. It's kind of a mixture.
Let's see here. Have you remote viewed to other worlds? If so, can you elaborate some, please?
I have remote viewed to different worlds. I get into a state of mind and I let myself kind of go there, and then I just kind of look around and see things. And when I'm ready, I just kind of come back into it. I've been to, I will say, I've been to the moon just briefly, and I've been to a few other places. They've actually took me to some places. I can't really recall where they took me offhand. I'd have to ask them. But I've actually time traveled to different areas around Earth and stuff, different places, and then came back.
The jeweled phoenix. I've been reading about crystals are such an important part of our history. I think crystals are very important part of our ability to understand and communicate. What's really interesting, the jeweled phoenix, is that if you look at crystals, and let's just go back 100 years, what were our things made out of? They were not made from synthetic materials, right? So we had frequencies, vibrations. We didn't have all that. Look at our shoes, leather soles. Look at our canes. Wood. It didn't have the rubber boots on them because it would ground. And if you research that, you'll notice things. Canes with brass handles. It wasn't to be fancy. Canes with crystals tops. It wasn't to be fancy. It was because of the frequencies and the vibrations. Is that correct, Chris?
Oh yes, oh yes. In fact, if you look back in some of the old drawings and stuff from way back when, you'll see like artifacts, canes, various things. There's even saw a photo earlier today of they found underwater. It looked like rocks and everything, but it was in the formation of a spacecraft underwater. So it goes to show how far these things date back. And
Brian Barber asks, have you ever remote viewed someplace and then regret it that you did?
yes, I went to a concert. I went to a concert from 1971. I went and sat and watched the concert outdoor festival, and to my chagrin, I went to the show, and within 10 minutes, there came a huge downpour, and I got soaked.
Oh wow! In some of the cases that you worked in your remote view, how do you deal with all the emotions and everything?
It is very tough because there are times I can do like a case for like a murder or just a case to help somebody, and I start taking in those energy levels of the person who inflicted the pain. It's very hard because I can begin to feel their anger, or if it's a woman who who's lost her child, I feel her sadness. In fact, I even did some remote viewing here recently, and the person who I was remote viewing had an illness, and I began to have the stomach cramps that she was reporting to have had, and it was terrible because once you tap in, it's hard to get rid of it until you set yourself off, and then you just kind of what I normally do is I'll tell myself, okay, that it's not me, I am different. I'll just get myself out of it, but you have to be careful.
And Nicole's asking, what band was that you went and watched and got soaked?
Actually, it was a Genesis.
Interesting. And what's your thoughts on Atlantis? Was it an alien base, or what's your thoughts?
It was an alien base. It definitely was. I can say that with honesty.
Somebody else told me that a while back ago, and I was like, I wondered about that because they talked about the technology and everything. It fascinated me, their theory on Atlantis, and why they thought it was alien. So interesting. Very interesting. Oh, that's nice, you all. Yeah, we actually do have a great audience. I'm very pleased with the audience.
Yeah,
well, they're just firing away on you, Chris.
You guys are doing a great job. Keep the questions coming. Keep coming.
Very interesting. So, let's see here. Brian Cowboy. Who else has a cryptic cowboy in a sweet and low box, needs a tow truck on a regular basis? We rock it. Oh, my God. Isn't that the truth? Speaking of tow truck, where is Rebecca? That's wild. I think she was under the weather yesterday, wasn't she? Hopefully she's okay. So, I think she was on earlier. I can't remember. I'm bad with memory. Terrible. Have you ever did any cases that you were like, shut the front door?
Oh, yeah.
And they were actually true?
I've done cases that, well, for instance, I did a case once. One of the first cases I ever did, it was a large outdoor 3-night concert festival, all heavy metal. And they captured on camera or on photo of a UFO spaceship triangle right above the outdoor festival, and they had this all on photography. I wasn't at the concert; none of us in the UFO community was, but we investigated the case. We enhanced the photos, enlarged them, and we're like, okay, this is definitely a case of a UFO hovering over the concert area. It took almost 6 months, and we finally found out that it was not a UFO. That it was actually the stage lights projecting in the sky, giving off that triangle look.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But it took 6 months to figure that out because we finally got the photos sent to us and got our answer. But for 6 months, we were like, hey, yeah.
Let me tell you something. I've done it before. So, yes, I'm glad Rebecca's okay. I'm glad she's just laying back. That was funny because I saw that pop up when I said that, when she typed it. So, yes, I'm glad she's okay. But no, I've done that, and I was doing it earlier with video. I thought I was going to die. My heart kept racing. And it's like, trying to figure stuff out. So,
we interviewed all the band members, all the people around to see if anybody had any special drones or special techniques or effects. Nope.
Brian says, "What did Bob Lazar get right?" I think he was right on everything. I don't think anything he said was wrong.
No, he was spot on correct.
Yeah. So yeah, I think everything that he said came to fruition. Even though everybody made fun of him, that everybody thought, what do you think Skinwalker Ranch is all about? That's a good one, Crifton.
Yeah, it's all about the skinwalkers. Way back in the day, they cursed the land and put out so much negative energy towards not only just the ground itself. Anybody that steps foot on that ground is going to have that negative energy. What happens is the negative energy gets into you, and it causes you to lose your thought process. It causes you to go off kilter. You start to feel sick, and depending on how strong of a person you are, if you're not a very strong person, that effects could hit you like a ton of bricks instantly. And not only does the energy so strong, but it produces it can make you hallucinate. You can see ETs. You can see things that you wouldn't normally see. And oddly enough, not everything is just an illusion. There has been numerous cases of actual UFOs flying over the area.
Crifton also asked, "Does it involve ETs? You think?"
Oh yes, the ground being cursed is not does not evolve not had nothing to do with ETs, but they do fly over quite a bit. In fact, there's been just recently several reports of ETs over the Skinwalker Ranch.
What is Kyle Smith is asking? What is the scariest thing you ever remote viewed?
The scariest thing would probably be because we do a paranormal show weekly, or not weekly, but every few weeks, called Something Wicked, and I do remote viewing during those episodes to see if I can figure out what's going on in the house or what spirits are trying to make contact. And I was doing remote viewing for them, and then I went a few days afterwards because we did a case. It was on I think a Saturday or a Sunday, maybe it's Friday. But anyways, a few days later, I went home and thought I would go outside, sit out on the deck. We have a deck, and do some remote viewing for the ETs, who all I can make contact with, besides the ones that come around me a lot. And so I did a remote viewing for them, and I started to film the thing. Well, my camera shut off, and all of a sudden I had this huge urge to write down the word "We are here now." And I looked up, and you could see what looked like a flashing lights in the sky, and it began to come a little bit lower, and then out of the clear blue, just as it got, I want to stay within. I can't really decide that it vanished, and when it vanished, the whole area, the whole property got completely silent.
It's interesting. Crifton wants to know, are you a star child?
I don't know for a fact that I'm not, but I can't honestly say that I am either. I'd almost say that more than likely, yes, considering the fact that I've had memories of these since I was a child. In fact, one of the earliest memories I have was one of my ETs came down as an angel, and she came down. This when I was just a little kid, and she came down, and we sat together at the kitchen table, and we just sat there. And I don't know her name, but all I knew is I knew her from somewhere, and we made contact.
And what are your thoughts on MyLab's abductions and the secret space program?
I think that there's so much information that the secret space program has, that the closer we get, the more I want to say hush they're going to become. We're never going to have all the information we want, because this is the truth. They're going to keep all the best information and best evidence to themselves. They're never going to release everything. All they're going to give us just like the little bread and butter here and there. They're going to give us the whole story. And if I could tell the secrets to what the space program has, I would love to. But I don't have all the information or answers.
I feel like I need to hook you up to a polygraph machine, the way they're firing across your bow. What are aliens' thoughts on God in heaven?
Oh yeah, this is a good one here. There is a God, but they don't call him God. They call him a higher source, and that's actually what he is. He is a higher source because he has more knowledge than any of us will. And it is true that he does exist. I have personal communication with the higher source, or God, as you call him. And he's one of the people I work with next to the ETs and spirit guides. And the ETs do worship him. Like I say, they call him the higher source. And anybody can speak to the higher source, or God, if you want to call him that. Anybody can speak to him. It's like you can have contact with ETs if you're wondering, people who are listening to this, wondering who their ET races are, who their guides are. Just sit back, go in a quiet room, just sit back and let your mind just kind of wander off and just ask the question. You'd be surprised if you don't hear an answer.
Interesting. Let's see here. What the heck did that pop up here? Let me get off that. Now, that was a good question. Welcome, Anthony. Nice to see you. Nicole says omnipresent. What do you think the Montauk project was a real thing that went on, or do you think it's still going on?
I think it's still going on, and I do believe it was real. I have no proof of that, but I think it's still going on. Some of the chats I've heard and rumors I've heard, they make it sound as if it is, although I can't prove nothing. So
interesting. Interesting. What Gene's like? What is the Montauk? You have to Google that one, Gene. That's a good one. So that's a good one.
To those out there listening, I do teach a psychic class during the week. It's an 8-week certification course. It's only $200, and everybody gets certified as a remote viewer. And what I do is I help all the students. I teach them how to open up their psychic side more, to become more acceptable to understanding and learning things. It's a great course, and everybody gets certified as remote viewers. And you do become a little bit more psychic when you take my course, because I help you understand and help you hear things and see things better.
Interesting. All right, let me see if I can do this real quick before we wrap up. Let me blow this back up, get that off. Let me hit present, share screen, and let me see if I can. So I just popped this in. Can you see it?
Yes.
All right, so we're going to go through some of these. I just popped this in. So let's see what we got going on this one. So this goes back to 1020. Now I got this camera hiding in the trees. There's a little buck, some deer. Interesting. Another buck. Squirrel, see it down there? Jumping from the tree. Ooh, see the deer?
Yeah, I see the outline.
Yeah. All right. Deer. Man, that's pitch black. Wow. That's strange.
Yeah.
And we had a man backstage on the YouTube channel who met someone who's lost his arm in the Montauk project. Yeah. And Chris, how do they find you and get a hold of you too?
And you can find me on Facebook at Chris Harmon Crappie King. You can also find me on MUFON.com, and our paranormal show. You can find that on YouTube and Facebook. It's Something Wicked Paranormal Investigations, and you can watch all of our episodes. We put out new episodes every so often. In fact, we got 4 episodes yet to be released. So, yeah, check me out. And
look at that turkey there. Interesting. Yeah, I'll make sure and follow him there. Chris will be back on. That's behind the house. So I just want to see what's going on. So I have no idea who that was, but I got turkey behind the house. I knew that. So interesting. I just popped it in. I'm just going to go through footage after the show. So yeah, it was fun. But from coast to coast around the world, Chris, thank you. And we'll catch you next week. And don't forget our shows tomorrow. And everybody have a good night. See you, Chris.
Adios.
It's a grizzly.
Should we get out of here?
No. We're gonna watch and listen.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, shit, should we run?
No.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, should we run?
Okay. It's a grizzly.
Are you sure it's not a chipmunk? Action. No, I'm out of here. Action.
It's a grizzly.
I'm out of here.
Huh. Maybe it is a chipmunk. It's a grizzly.
Are we gonna die?
I don't know. We're just gonna sit here and listen and watch.
Let's get out of here, maybe.
Fall!